with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FANation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show for Monday's 11-game main slate over on DraftKings and FanDuel today. Both sites cutting out 10 p.m. games over there. Maybe a new leaf being turned for FanDuel, or they too are just looking at this being like, this is just way too many games to have on a main slate, and they decided to cut off the 10 p.m. But some unity for the first time in a while here between the two main platforms. So just 11 games. A lot of injury news that we got already. A couple of big names are still waiting on. No games tomorrow, so get your action here today before we get that Christmas Day slate.
Yeah, unity, hurrah, woo!
Yeah,
woo!
It's great.
It is
good to see.
It's good.
That's where we're at.
It is.
How are you feeling about 11 games? You did the pick'em articles today. What did you? What are we looking to target?
I picked some plays.
Yeah, what plays did you pick?
You can find them on
work with me here. Give us a play.
You can find them on fantasyalarm.com right now. If you head over there and you head over to the NBA tab, you can find some good ones. There's a Bradley Beal pick in there for those late night crawlers. There's a what else do we got? I got DeAndre Ayton pick in there.
I like it.
Cade Cunningham, another late night pick. Some Zach 80. So there's a lot.
There we go. See, we got a lot going on over at Fantasy Alarm with our NBA content. You can go check that out. Underdog Prize Pick Sleeper Fantasy for you guys over there. Of course, we got our holiday sale running right now. You see the scroll at the bottom. Got the QR code right up there on the screen as well. 50% off for 2025. Check it out right now. And you go to fantasyalarm.com/holiday. All Pro monthly for 50% off. That's $19.95 a month for all of 2025. Go scan that QR code. Sign up today. Starts with a 7-day free trial. Get access to all of our content on Fantasy Alarm for 50% off. MLB season's right around the corner. PGA DFS kicks off. The new season begins next week. We hired a new PGA DFS writer today, Jacob Parry. Go follow him over on the X machine over there. Get his content this season, giving you some underdog plays, giving you some PGA DFS. You get all of that for 50% off monthly, $19.98. All right, 11 games. Let's talk about it. Obviously, the big news of the day with Milwaukee, Giannis, Lillard, opens up just monster chalk, according to the ownership here today. Ryan Rollins, Bobby Portis coming off the 70 fantasy point game the other night when there was no Giannis. We'll see if they can run it back. Still waiting on the Luka Doncic news here, going up against Portland. Obviously, if he was to be ruled out, that would significantly alter, again, some of the value that we're going to be looking to play here today as they go up against Portland. Few other names that we're still waiting on here for injury news. Hopefully we get those. 7 p.m. roster lock, as you said, late night hammer on this 11 gamers, 8:30. So, plenty of time still for some news to come across here, sitting around 2 hours before roster lock.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of news has to come through the wire. Some of it we got kind of. Trae Young was at shoot around.
Yep.
Maxey downgraded to probable. Suggs was at shoot around. So there's still a lot to sift through, but at least it looks like a little bit of clarity with some of these spots.
Agreed. We appreciate y'all tuning in here. Kamal popping in for us here. Albert, Coach Chris, Sasha coming from the other side of the world. An early morning for Sasha rising up with us here. Bowers in the chat. Power in the chat. Warren in the chat. So we appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, throw them in there. Comments, we'll throw them on the screen. Point guard position. Luka Doncic, again, 11-5. We'll see if he's in or not in this matchup against Portland here. He did not play the other day. They got that Christmas Day slate coming up. I suspected that maybe that they would not play Luka for this game against Portland and really focus on that marquee matchup on Wednesday against Minnesota. But we'll see. Obviously, if Luka is in, he becomes an elite play. SGA's 10-1, LaMelo 98. Trae, as we said, was at shoot around 94. Harden, Barnes, your 9K and above grouping here. LaMelo was on the preview show as one of our favorite plays of the day against Houston here. Given the news we've had today, everybody's just kind of spending down at point guard. Do you find a reason to spend up at point guard today?
Yeah, I mean, to be contrarian, I do think Luka's a great play. I think he plays. We've gotten him ruled out very early in the day. The last 2 games he hasn't played. Just the fact that he hasn't been yet. And obviously there's still over 3.5, nearly 3.5 hours until they do suit up. If he's good to go and he's playing, we have never seen him limited. Like if he comes back, he just plays full capacity.
40 minutes, right? Like,
so if Luka's back, I'm interested. I think the SGA ownership is interesting today. It's obviously a great spot. OKC has a ton of points implied on their behalf. It's a great matchup. Just, I don't know how that game stays competitive enough to get 4 quarters out of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So I'm okay with him in tournaments if you think Washington stands any chance.
Yeah, I don't see how Washington competes here, right? But we've seen crazier things happen.
He's the 4th. SGA is the 4th highest point guard projected today. I'd be way under the field at that number. In large field stuff, you can always take shots, right? LaMelo, like in theory, it's a terrible spot. Houston's second defensively. They don't play like all too fast, but you also have to factor in that he's going to take 30 shots here. So, no Brandon Miller, there's 30 shots. He's had 20 potential assists in the last 2 games since returning. He took an 8-minute jump from his first game back to his second game. Have to assume 34 is like the baseline here. So I definitely think alone LaMelo is interesting in tournaments. Still too cheap for the ceiling. Trey, I'm a little indifferent about. Harden, you could definitely play in tournaments. He has scored 40 the other day. Really, really, really massive pace-up spot for the Clippers. So, you could play Harden. No Marcus Smart defense he's going to have to deal with tonight.
Right.
And then Scotty, RJ, I'm indifferent about Toronto when they're both active, kind of, especially at the price tags they are. So I probably stay away. I guess maybe there's a little appeal to Scotty Barnes if there's no RJ. I mean, he just went 2 for 15 yesterday. He played 40 minutes. He missed all his shots. Salute to Houston's defense. That's what they do. Knicks defense are not the Houston Rockets. So, if there's no RJ, I'd be okay getting to Scotty.
Okay. Yeah, I mentioned on the show this morning, I just wondered maybe he's still not 100% over to that ankle, and they're just kind of getting him out there. There's also no reason for them to rush him back, but he definitely hasn't looked good. We've talked a lot about the Clippers defense this season, but we do have John Morant, fully expected to be a full go here, not on the injury report. Before that injury against Golden State, where we were super high on him in that matchup, granted they won by 50, we probably weren't going to get many more minutes out of him than he had played in that game. Some really big-time performances out of him here. Did the Clippers defense worry you at all in this matchup against John Morant, or do you just willing to go in on him at the price point?
Yeah, the Clippers matchup worries me about everybody, but if Ja's going to get to the basket, he's going to get to the basket, especially if there's no Zubats to meet him at the rim. Right. Zubats downgraded to questionable. Then I think becomes a little easier. Not as worried about Mo Bamba and Kai Jones as I would be, Zubats at the rim. So I'm okay with Ja. I mean, it's close spread, 2 really good teams in the West. So I'm okay with it. I'm a little indifferent. But if that's where your builds take you, I can't even find him. He's 2% projected. Yeah. If you get it's basically been like, you get 30 minutes outside of the Lakers game where he just, couldn't make a shot. He gives you 50 plus fantasy points. So, at 8,800, it's still too cheap for what happens basically every time he plays 30 minutes.
Great. Working our way down this tier, obviously, some guys that would be, Kyrie potentially there if there is no Luka. We've seen him have good games. We've seen him have some average games. Maxey, $8,600, listed as probable, which is like kind of a downgrade because he's on the injury report, but it's an illness. So I guess we'll kind of monitor, that situation there. I kind of just jumped down the Tyler Hero in the playbook. I think Hero against Brooklyn at $7,400, the way he has been playing, not knowing what's going to go on Butler here today. But I do think that there's some again, some appeal for me here.
Yeah, he's great. I probably wouldn't have skipped past like Jalen Brunson and stuff, but
Sure.
I like Tyler Hero also.
Okay. What is it about Brunson for you tonight? Obviously, coming off of a really good game, been a bit inconsistent at times. Did have 40 fantasy points against Toronto in a competitive matchup earlier this month.
I mean, I think the minutes we're starting to see out of Brunson earlier in the year, they were not extending him as often to like the 38, 39, 40 minute mark. Now we're getting, max minute Brunson. 8,300 is a really good price tag for a guy who has 60 fantasy point upside. So it's a great matchup, gets the Raptors on the second leg of a back-to-back. And unlike most teams, 30 minutes in a blowout is usually the floor. So if we're going to get a blowout, which is obviously possible, we're still going to get 30 minutes out of Brunson.
I think they're 14.5 point favorites in this one. So we'll see there, which is fine. Again, I definitely, for me with Brunson this year, as we've seen just Towns be so dominant that we haven't gotten the consistent takeover games, I think, that we were seeing last year, where it was the Brunson show, especially with Randall obviously off the floor for as long as he was last season. It still feels like 83 might be a little bit too much, but I definitely get the appeal, coming off the games that he's had there. So again, you get Hero. Anthony Simons was the cover of our show today. Coming off some really big games. He has this matchup against Dallas. $6,500 for a guy that's been giving you almost 7.5, 8x the last few slates here. Pretty strong option in tournaments. Yeah,
34, 28. Those are his 2 usage rates the last 2 games. Those are really good usage rates.
Yeah, nothing really to fight there. I do like Cleveland, but obviously this is a blowout situation. Utah, no Collins and no George likely tonight. Well, they're doubtful. You need the Utah guards to really score tonight to keep them competitive in this game. But Garland at 71. We'll see what happens with Giddey if he's in or out when it comes to our likeness of the Chicago guards. But obviously this is a great matchup for them. Otherwise, we're just probably playing Levine and moving forward. But what are your thoughts on the rest of this mid-range?
I don't have much thoughts. I think Fred VanVleet is getting a lot of ownership, has not shot the ball well in like any form for 6 straight games. He obviously has a ceiling, but he has really started to slump. So I like the minutes. I like the matchup. Maybe this is a spot that you can see VanVleet kind of start shooting the ball better in. That's my only like real other comment. I like Ben Simmons at 59. I think there's, the minutes, the shots, the peripheral stats are all really solid. The 17 potential assists just leads you to believe there is double digit potential every night, that he just needs a really subpar team to make shots when that's who he's passing to. Cam Johnson's the only really reliable guy that he's passing to.
Right. And listen, it's the minutes are where the appeal was for him. Obviously, now that they're starting to get him more involved consistently. Pritchard can always be a tournament dart. It's not like the greatest of matchups here for Orlando, but we know he can get going. Does Pippen interest you? Like, who gets the minutes with no Smart, likely no Bane tonight? Where do those minutes go?
You're ruling Bane out here?
Well, I mean, he wasn't even at shoot around with the illness, so I'm kind of assuming that there's a little chance he plays.
Yeah. My assumption would be Aldama or Kennard would probably be my guess. Pippen is obviously, they're just so like him and Ja are both really little, really small. So I don't know how much they would want to double up those minutes. Like, I would say Kennard is probably the first option, or Aldama, because we've seen Aldama play the 3. We've seen Aldama play.
And what they moved with Jalen Wells to like the 3 or 2 or something.
Yeah, Jalen Wells is your other wing. So like you obviously Wells is in the starting lineup, so I assume you just get one of Kennard where Wells is your 3, or Aldama and Wells is moving to the 2 in either of those scenarios. So that would be my guess. But I mean, Pippen, I don't love the price for a guy who's probably still not going to start.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wasn't sure if you thought maybe he'd be in that lineup. You do have the Utah guys here. You correctly played Colin Sexton the other day over the chalky Bogdanovich, 35 fantasy points, coming off 51 against Detroit. Got Cleveland now, obviously a tough spot, but now George doubtful. As I said, John Collins a high usage player, doubtful. Does that give you any appeal for Sexton and Clarkson tonight?
It does. 2 plays I'm interested in for sure. I get it. I understand it. They're going to have free reign to take as many shots as possible. So, we've said this a lot. Cleveland blows everybody out, and I'm not saying that they won't, but Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, and Lauri Markkanen aren't going to go down without taking a bunch of shots.
And if they hit good shots, so maybe this game stays surprisingly competitive for 3 quarters or 2.5, something like that.
Colin Sexton's been a really good scorer in his career, and Jordan Clarkson's been a really good scorer, offensive player. And Lauri Markkanen, without these guys,
all 3 of them former Cavaliers.
Like, all 3 of them there is legitness to it. And all you former Cavaliers can take your ball and go home. I don't want to hear it. But they all have 25% usage rates or higher without Collins, without Keontae. They're all over a fantasy point per minute. Sexton 1.2, Clarkson almost 1.3. There is a lot to like. I mean, Utah isn't a good team. They have won 2 in a row, and they have played these guys a lot of minutes in those games. With Clarkson got thrown out of one of them, but he has played a lot of minutes. So shorthanded team, underpriced, really fast-paced game. Like with Cleveland,
they officially ruled out, so we're getting that news right here. So
Cleveland is 9th in pace. So you have 2 of the top 11 teams in pace. I know Cleveland's elite defensively, but John Collins out too. I am more than willing to play Utah, and I expect Svi to be one of the other starters.
He went
saw
off
that the other day where
game.
Clarkson. Yeah, I'm a little. I don't know what. I guess we'll see. This could finally be a Clarkson start and just move Markkanen to the 4.
Otherwise, they do what, the Filipowski
my guess, but
thing again or something like that, or
could do Filipowski, could do Sensabaugh, could do Juzag. So there's a bunch of different things, but I am pro Colin Sexton at 55. I am pro Jordan Clarkson at 53. I think they're
say there's no Luka. Would you rather Dinwiddie over either of those plays? No.
I'm not against Dinwiddie. I think he's solid.
He's been really good.
Yeah.
I think ultimately you probably just end up playing 2 of the 3, right? In your lineups.
Probably. Yeah, maybe you just go with the lowest owned of the 3. I mean, it's hard to quantify now. I don't know if that's necessarily true because we haven't even talked about the chalky guard of the slate. So that would completely wipe your guard, your guards and
you
util.
Do a point guard, shooting guard,
shooting guard, and then including Rollins, that would be 4 if you play, or 3 of the 4. I guess 3. Yeah, I guess you're right. Math is hard. I would probably still go Utah, but I also acknowledge that Dinwiddie's a good player.
We have Rozier is probable on this slate. Rozier's been playing a lot of minutes.
Yeah, it was a midday.
So we'll see what happens there, I guess, but he has been playing a good amount of minutes. Jalen Suggs, game time decision tonight. If he is out, they'll probably start Anthony Black again, but Cole Anthony off the bench the other night broke the slate, 65 fantasy points. I don't see either of that happening against Boston here, but we have to at least mention it. And then we'll go down to Ryan Rollins, who started, played 31 minutes, won 5 of 10, had 22 fantasy points at 3K. They only bumped him up $500, so 22 fantasy points at 35 is also what we're looking for here, 7x ish return. So everybody's playing him. He's 65%. something like that, right, on the slate?
Yeah, 60. Yeah.
Any reason to
higher.
fade him if he's starting?
Yeah. No. You could there's different conversations for like the rest of the chalky Bucks, because like the Bucks own 5 of the top 6 ownership slots. So I think there's a conversation to be had about the rest of them, but I would say Rollins is what him and the cover of your playbook are 30+% higher rostered than everyone else. So I would eat that, and we could differentiate and talk about the rest of the Bucks.
Warren asked about AJ Green. He is not among the top group.
No, he's not.
Let's go to shooting guard.
No, he's not.
We got Anthony Edwards at 87. Again, Kyrie's there. Donnie Mitch, 84, going up against Utah. Jaylen Brown is 8K. All of those are fine if you want to get there. I didn't, again, personally in my builds. I liked Levine at $7,300. I like Norm Powell at 7K.
I agree on both fronts, on all 3 fronts. On the 8K range, they're all tournament options. I like Levine. I like Norm. Yep. I think Norm's probably safer than Levine. That could obviously change if Giddey's ruled out. But Norm has been
Norm has been ridiculous. You think about like we had a very long conversation about him last night as it is. So definitely in on them. And then again, Levine has been really great scoring the basketball. He had 52 fantasy points against Boston in that upset win there. Averaging 40 fantasy points in 2 games against Milwaukee. So certainly can get there if you wanted to. And then again, I didn't really find I didn't find this slate, even with 11 games, to have like a ton of appealing spots just from a matchup standpoint. There's a lot of guys that I think you can play if you wanted to. You were high on Jalen Green last night. Shot volume's obviously been pretty good the last couple of games. Didn't even really make a lot of shots against Toronto, but hit them all against the Pelicans here. So $6,400 if you wanted to go to Jalen Green, like I'm fine, going in that direction.
That would be my preferred target in that range as well. Just a high usage guy. 27% usage, no Tari Eason, about a fantasy point per minute. And every time Tari Eason's been out, it's like 4 different occasions. Jalen Green has never been like where randomly suffering from minutes happens. Him and Jabari have always been on the short end of that stick. He has not.
And then when Eason's on the floor, he's such a high usage guy that other people suffer around him. So like it's helps there.
Yep.
Other shooting guards, go down a little bit further. Again, Shaedon Sharp is fine. Klay Thompson's good in tournaments. We talked to Utah plays already. We got Devin Vassell, though, at $5,400 against Philadelphia. Thoughts here? Had that huge game against Atlanta, blowout, 23 minutes against Portland. Willing to just kind of run them back and expect, pretty legit production out of this one, right?
If you had to project Devin Vassell's minutes, what would you project him at?
I would say 28 to be conservative.
But you're being conservative. Like you're acknowledging you're being
because I think it's San Antonio. And I get it's not Pop, but like we see them go very up and down with their rotation depending on how they go about with guys. So, but he started and played 38 minutes in a competitive game against Atlanta. So like ceiling, I think the blowout against Portland limited him to 23. He was still really good. Had a very bad game against Minnesota, so they still played him 25, right? But they played others over him. 30 against Portland, 28 against the Pelicans. If he's starting, I think 28 is a floor for him in a game that's competitive.
And he didn't play the final 3 in Minnesota. He was on the floor. He didn't play. So 28, if you're, with the garbage time there. I have him over 30, and I think that's probably where I'm treating him as field and kind of like the market is.
And I like him too. I just think if you're saying like being conservative with him, 28 feels like a floor. But if you got him for like 32 or 33, like I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I have no problem with that.
That's where I have him. I think I had him. I updated at 32, and I'm obviously aware that he hasn't, he's been extended in the nights where he shot the ball extremely well, but he is a extremely good offensive player. against the Philly team that hasn't necessarily obviously had Embiid, but they have not really been all that good. And he's gained small forward eligibility throughout the year. So we've gotten, the best eligibility and the potential now to have max minutes. I'm just surprised. Like, he is right there in terms of price with like Clarkson and Sexton, and he's half the ownership of Sexton and he's half the ownership of Clarkson.
Yeah.
So like, if you wanted to like revisit that conversation in tournaments, I would just play Devin Vassell over both of them because I'm more confident that this game is going to be. Philly is a 6-point favorite.
Yeah.
The Spurs are over 500, and I get it, Embiid, the whole Embiid thing, but like, it's like, are we still not hip to San Antonio being legit or like being like a winning basketball team?
I think the books look at Philadelphia being healthy now with Maxey, George, and Embiid and think that they're just back to being a good team. So, and that's where the competitiveness kind of plays up there.
He is wedged in between them in literally on DraftKings. Sexton, Vassell, Clarkson, all in a row.
Jimmy Butler officially out tonight for Miami. As we kind of,
that's the hero. That's the hero to the moon spot.
Yep, agreed. And we'll see what they do with their starting lineup. Obviously, they started Drew Smith the other day. If that changed at all, if Jaime Jaquez starts, we'd probably have some interest there. But you got to see whoever starts for Butler in that spot. Again, I like LeVert, but it's I don't know how they're going to use this rotation. But he's a guy that can get on the floor and give you 20 plus fantasy points, and he's got a ceiling of like 40. Koulibaly doubtful, so we're getting some Wizards news here. I don't know how many Wizards we'd play against the Thunder tonight, but their top guys are dropping. They also have Alexander Sarr as questionable for tonight. Could be out of the game there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's gonna get worse for that matchup. I wouldn't. That's like you might like go game theory yourself into some like Isaiah Joe or something like that tonight.
I would rather probably game theory myself into like
Ty Jerome. I think we talked about on the show last time. Right?
Or like if it is Washington, like Keyshawn George, someone who's just like incredibly inexpensive, and if he's 3,300 and gets you 17 fantasy points, well, okay, great.
Yeah. We ran that road before. Remember, he had did nothing for 2 quarters and then hit
Golden
6
State.
threes.
Yeah, the goals, and then we came to find out he was talking smack to Draymond the whole game.
The whole game, yeah, no kidding. So you got that there. Getting a lot of value at the shooting guard. We kind of touched on Gary Trent was the ownership play we were mentioning. He's one of the higher projected roster players. He's 4,100, 31 minutes. He's going to have to take a lot of shots. He took 16 of them in that game against Washington here. Pace up spot. We know he can shoot. It's just that when you play on a team with Dame and Giannis, it's hard to get those shots when those guys aren't on the floor. Gary Trent's going to go find himself 15 shots. So $4,100 Gary Trent, popular play tonight. Chalk I'd be willing to eat.
Yeah. I would say, there's a lot to like about Milwaukee in general. He's the highest now roster shooting guard, obviously, because he has shooting guard small forward, so you can play him in both spots. But if you wanted to pivot, it's what who said Warren? It's obviously the pivot's AJ Green. That's for $200 more. No one's playing him. Everyone's playing Gary Trent. That is, I think, like clearly the pivot. One guy is 20% owned and one guy's 2% owned. So
Jalen Suggs active tonight. So
thankfully active.
We don't have to deal with Cole Anthony or
that is great news.
Black or any of that stuff here.
It's great news.
Listen, Green's fine. He takes all of his shots from 3-point range. So if he gets going tonight against Chicago, which Chicago, not a great defensive team, not a great perimeter defensive team, then definitely has some ceiling there. I don't hate that there. What did Duncan end up doing? 27 minutes for Duncan Robinson. 31, 27 the last 2 games without Jimmy Butler.
Okay. I don't know. I get it. I don't know.
Okay.
I get it. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have a comment because it's the same thing every time. Jaime Jaquez is playing 28 minutes tonight. If you tell me you're interested in Duncan, he's playing Jaquez. Just pencil him in for 28. You might as well.
right.
Dude, that's just what they do.
I agree. I know, but he is at least the last couple of games of no Butler. He's playing. Anything else shooting guard for you?
I'm annoyed. Yeah, I mean, watch the Memphis stuff.
The Memphis stuff. Yeah,
Kennard's 3,500. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Small forward. Jason Tatum is 10-5. Had that monster game. I don't know what to do with Boston here tonight. We say this almost every game. Like, I don't know what to do with them. But, like, Orlando is just so depleted. They play slow. They're not as good.
Yeah, this game is gross, huh?
It's not good. Right?
Boston. When have you seen Boston with only 113 implied points? It's because the pace of this game is just so disgusting.
It's so bad. I did like the comments from Peyton Pritchard. I don't know if you saw, they asked them about like people saying that all the threes are ruining the game. And you know, if teams should like stop taking threes. And he's like, some teams should stop taking threes, but not us. We're really good at it. So like, you know, he's like, we're not going to stop.
A good response. I didn't say it, but that's great.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, some teams should stop taking all those threes, but we're not us. Like, we're really good at it. So
that's good.
You know, we're not going to stop. So, and we talk about that all the time. Like, there are teams that are taking a bunch of threes that are not good 3-point shooting teams.
Yep.
And it's hurting them. So, all right. So obviously Tatum is there. I am less on Scotty Barnes again. I just don't know if he's fully healthy here. If RJ's active, would you have any interest in RJ?
No.
Okay. No reporting on him. He's just questionable with that same illness, I guess. So.
Yeah, no, they reported earlier.
Okay.
He's gonna go through. He's gonna do some pre-work, some pregame stuff to see if he's good.
All right. I mentioned Levine already. Cam Johnson's here at 74. You can play Norm at this spot as well.
Yep.
Again, Middleton, another ownership play. You and I kind of went back and forth on where we think his minutes will be tonight. I think he'll play a few more than he played the other day. Get him up to like 26, 28. What do you have him at?
I think I'm 28. I think was the after the Giannis news. Yeah, I mean they did lose. Feeling. They lost time the other day, so I think we had said here. I'll just pull it up. He didn't play the final 420 and played 24 minutes. He would have finished at exactly
28, right?
Like on the dot. The Bucks somehow would have gotten it. Not even like to the second 28 minutes. If you
they're managing it. You know, they got to figure it out.
Yeah, but like the timeouts, the way the timeouts played and everything, it would have been exactly to the second 28 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, if he gets to 28, then he's worth it.
Yep. And we're also just assuming 28 is. Sometimes these guys get to like 25. And then they're like, all right, there's no minutes limit now. Like they can just go.
Right. 30, right. 32, right. 33, 34. 28 was what I do.
So I like Middleton a lot tonight. Again, I was kind of in on him even with Giannis. Assuming Giannis was in, I was still playing Middleton at 6K. The assist numbers have been really great for him. You get no Lillard. We know he's going to run the offense a lot. So no shocker. Everybody else is going to be in on him. So don't be surprised if you're in a single entry and you get like 60% Chris Middleton tonight. It's going to happen. You know, usually I like a lot of these Atlanta guys. Minnesota's defense has been so good, though. I'm not really sure what to do. The game total in this one is pretty decent, though. It was like 225, I think, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but the number is 225.
Right. Yeah. So 225 is a good game total. What do you, if Atlanta's going to be competitive in a 225 total, someone's got to be productive, right? It's not going to be 10 guys scoring whatever that math comes out to. So, like, what do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot at play. I would get to a 6K DeAndre Hunter if Trey sat like pretty easily. I'm not saying he hasn't been viable with Trey.
Dude,
like he's been
26
good.
in a blowout loss.
I know he is really weirdly not good peripherally anymore. He's just scoring.
Hard to be with Jalen Johnson and Larry Nance are out there doing what they're doing, right?
Well, both of them are out there, and they are going to be like it's not going anywhere. So like Bogey and Trey both in the injury report. I would be really interested in Hunter. if both those guys, because then like there's a legitimate case that Hunter's going to lead them in scoring again. I mean, you like Jalen Johnson's great, but Jalen Johnson's way more balanced than DeAndre Hunter. So, but then you're like, oh well, then he's going to see Jaden McDaniels. He's going to see like NAW off the bench. It's just going to be a terrible night for Hunter.
If that's what you think, then like go all in on Jalen Johnson, because that means Julius Randle is on him, right? Like
I think that you're going to see McDaniels probably guard both those guys. Like Hunter, you're going to see him guard Jalen Johnson. But Jalen Johnson's one of those. I don't need Jalen Johnson to give me 30 actual. We need DeAndre Hunter to give us 30 actual for a ceiling.
That's true. But he's been nutty. He scored 26 and 24 minutes while only hitting 1 3 as well.
And he hurt his ankle in that game. I don't know if you saw the reporting. There was an ankle injury in that.
Stop getting that guy hurt. It's literally derailed his career from being an all-star, I think. Eamon Thompson's always a dart throw here. He gets blowout run sometimes too, so this game gets out of hand. Like Eamon's on the floor late in those games. Again, mentioned liking Clay. If everybody keeps getting ruled out, like Julian Champagny might just get locked into minutes here. Yeah. I mean, I assume he's going to start again. Obviously, the minutes kind of went away last game. But, yeah, I mean, I'm weird we got the Koulibaly news and not the Sarr news. Who do you think – all right, let's just do it like this. Who starts for Koulibaly? Do you think Keyshawn George? Possibly, I guess.
Because they're starting Champagny. Who starts for Sarr if he sits? Is it Valanciunas? So I put
Valanciunas in the playbook because I think that's just me hoping. Because we know what J-Val can do in 20 minutes.
Hopium there for sure. Because it very well could be Marvin Bagley starting.
Either way, no one's playing 30 of that group. So
no.
But I would rather Valanciunas out there for his 19 minutes starting than. Because if he doesn't start, there's no guarantee Valanciunas plays more than like 15 minutes. So kind of one of those situations where you kind of need that guy on the floor. But Champagny has been really good when everybody else is kind of out. So while this is still a Thunder matchup that I don't love for him in general, he's a garbage time player that plays in the starting lineup. So
he is.
We see that often with him. He's just out there. Dylan Brooks has been unbelievable. Back-to-back 40 fantasy point games here. Does he get 34 and 37 minutes? He got 34 and a 20-point win. So, like, I don't think it really matters with Dylan Brooks. So I'm good.
And no Eason. Eason. The minutes aren't going. Aren't going anywhere.
What else are we looking at down here? Anything for you that sticks out?
I mean, you could play Milwaukee down here. There is
would like Kispert start? Would they go Kispert for Koulibaly?
Yeah. I don't freaking have any idea. They usually just like bringing Kispert off the bench. My assumption would be Keyshawn George. That would be my guess. But I'm also that's hopium.
Would you play a 3,300 Keyshawn?
Hoping,
okay.
Yeah,
he's been ugly at times this year.
There's also I also am okay with like playing a $3,300 player in my lineup if it got me, because if you're playing him and Rollins, right, and you get 30 minutes out of both those guys, I don't care what their production is because they're gonna get there in 30 minutes. I don't need Keyshawn George to give me, like, he was 5K. I don't need him to get me 25 fantasy points. If he gets me 20, I'm in a good position because what
a vibe early November was, huh? Just.
What a vibe, yeah. When the 17-3 game, that was the game.
17,
where he was like,
but then he was like one of 9 at Memphis, and bombed away. Yeah,
and Orlando.
Would you rather play the $3,300 Keyshawn, or would you play Kennard if he was starting, or Jalen Wells, who are all under 4K?
I would probably. They're both terrible spots. Like Memphis versus the Clippers and Washington versus OKC. I would probably feel best honestly. I'd probably feel best about Keyshawn's minutes only because we know what Memphis does. Like, we're sitting here, they're going to dust off John Concher. They're going to dust off like anybody that Cam Spencer has been a guy that has been extended for them like recently. So they're going to dust off players that we don't expect, where Washington's not. Washington's going to play Keyshawn if Keyshawn's like in any scenario, I think.
All right. Anything else at small forward?
Let's look. Is there anything that we're missing in terms of ownership? Markkanen, OG are two guys that are getting. Oh, and Svi, John, 3,300. Svi is getting some ownership.
Pell Larson played 24 minutes in that game against Orlando.
I am not the Miami rotation whisperer. I just a situation I hate. Apparently Terry Rozier is waiting for team doctors to arrive with his status to be determined after.
So we got 14 minutes for Cam Whitmore last night, right?
Yeah, and he was playing like big crunch minutes in the fourth quarter too.
19 fantasy points in 14 minutes. That's the Cam Whitmore experience.
He is so talented offensively. It is just obviously like
a late scratch Houston guy, to get Cam Whitmore in the lineup.
Back to back, just Dylan Brooks.
Like
give us a Dylan Brooks out, then we get Amin Thompson starting, and then Cam Whitmore is your 6 man. Yeah,
I'd play a 3K Cam Whitmore before I played a $3,300 Keyshawn George.
I probably would too. If in that perfect world where someone scratched, yes, I agree.
Have to qualify that we're talking about only if someone was a scratch from Houston there.
I guess just worth mentioning, John, and I forgot, like Svi 33, Sensabaugh 32, Juzeg 31. They also, I was looking at the injury report earlier. They also have Cody Williams back with the team as well, who's 3,000. It's really hard. Like, I'm looking at Svi's ownership.
It's whoever starts, right? So whoever starts will end up getting the bump once we get that lineup.
Well, Svi, I assume, right? He started last game. But then there's another starter because Collins is out. So I guess TBD on who their fifth starter is.
Power forward. Again, Tatum's up here 10-5. He's coming off just a ridiculous game, 83 fantasy points, 43, 15, and 10. Someone in chat gave you the word you were looking for.
They did.
Scorigami. No one's ever done it. Jason Tatum. Jalen Johnson's 9K, but as we mentioned here, if this game isn't competitive with a 225 total, the points have to come from somewhere.
He's getting a triple-double.
Good.
He's
if they legit just stick Julius Randle on him all day, he might score 30 tonight. Like that may really happen. Naz Reid is the third highest. I wonder if that's like because they don't think Randle sticks on the floor, or they think that Gobert with Larry Nance isn't on the floor as much tonight. Like, what do you make of Naz Reid being the third highest rostered player on the slate?
I have tried to figure that out because, when you for all those that follow ownership or look at ownership early morning, you can usually identify ownership that's not going to be there later, right? You can be like, all right, if this guy's ruled out, this is gone. And I kind of assumed I know Naz Reid's a good player, but he hasn't been playing, and he's 4,400. So I was like, all right, this is just I get it because has a massive ceiling. If I lose to this, I feel okay with it because
the minutes have been good in 3 of the last 4, right? 26, 27, 25. That's the minutes we would be expected to see nightly from Naz Reid. The double-digit shot attempts have been great, but 1 for 7, 1 for 10, 3 for 10. That's why he has struggled this year. Last year, he was a 40% three-point shooter and a 50% from the floor, and he's not close to those numbers this year.
Yeah, and obviously this is a good spot. Really fast-paced team in Atlanta. Not a great defensive unit.
And he matches up well with
everything.
Larry Nance,
and he matches well with Larry Nance. And he's also athletic and can match up with Jalen Johnson too, as a bigger 4. Yeah, I've been kind of perplexed about the Naz Reid thing as well. I'm a little indifferent about it. if you told me Naz Reid stuck over 20%, I'd probably be under the field at that number. But I can't fault people who are looking for value. I just think there's not a shortage of value, and there's not going to be a shortage of value as we continuously get closer to roster locks.
Right. So there's that Jalen Johnson matchup right there. Again, 9K for him. Got George and Jalen Williams. They're fine. I went down to Triple J at 72 in this matchup against the Clippers as like sort of the next drop down. I know you've been high on him. We got the foul trouble game. Fouled out against the Lakers, and then gave you 5 fouls against Atlanta. So hopefully we're not getting back into the handsy version of Jaren Jackson Jr. here.
Weren't we praising him? Did we just praise him like a week ago?
He's fouled out now in like 2 of the last 10 games, and he had a 5-foul game. So
dude, and he had 5 fouls 2 minutes into the second half. I played him naturally. I even tweeted about it. I was like, oh, no one's playing these guys. He had 5 fouls 2 minutes into the second half. How do you do that?
Wow.
He's too good to be doing that, dude. He's too good to be doing that. But he's also now, if there's no Bane, he's going to take a boatload of shots again, and he's a very skilled offensive player.
From there, I went to Sohan, 64. Think Sohan's fine. Like just the production we've gotten out of him. But the whole world.
His hair is so green. I don't know if you've seen his hair.
No,
it's so green.
Now?
Yeah, he's calling himself the Grinch because he plays on Christmas. I don't know if you saw that. He's going to but he has green hair, and he's calling himself the Grinch heading into Christmas.
Love to see it. Speaking of green, Bobby Portis.
Because he's going to make green because he's wearing green.
Yeah, the Bucks are green. Bucks wear green. Also, he is going to just dominate ownership tonight. He's the cover of my playbook. He's probably the cover of like 90% of content out there across the industry today. Coming off 70.
Probably, yeah.
And as a comment through the voodoo hex on us, Chalk Portis guarantees Doc's going to do some Doc foolery here today.
Not starting. He's not starting today for sure.
Not starting. 20 minutes in Chicago tonight for Bobby Poe.
Okay, what if he doesn't start? Real question, because we had that one game. Do you remember where he didn't start and then just didn't play?
Yeah, what if he doesn't start? Have to play him, but the obvious pivot would just be to play Brolo.
If he doesn't start, this is obviously not the same scenario because that was Brolo out. Giannis was still in, and they just didn't play him.
If they go Torian Prince, Gary Trent, AJ Green, Ryan Rollins with Brooke Lopez or with Middleton or something like that tonight, no thanks. But Bobby Poe, you know all the reasons to play him. Yeah. So it's need to spend too much time there. I like Jabari, 5,500. You guys have been playing really well lately. No Tariq and all the same things we've talked about. Yep. Great matchup against Charlotte. Aldama has really been an interesting play, right? Because he's been popping off the bench.
Yes.
And if there is no Bane, there's certainly a rotation where he can get more minutes tonight. The guy has put up some big time numbers in few minutes. 25 against Golden State, 54, played 20 minutes against Washington at 44. So that's just a small sample of what he's been doing in 23, 25 minutes here. A lot of 30 fantasy point games, 22, 24 minutes. So, good player. Really starting to be consistent, hitting his shots.
My assumption is his ownership percentage is based off the placeholder lineup that you set in large scale tournaments. Because there's only about one person that has him projected. There's only about one person projecting to play him tonight.
To me?
Based on I'm interested.
I play a lot of Sandy Aldama, probably more than most people do.
You do play. No, most for sure. You play more than.
You know why? Because it works. He's really good at basketball.
No, he is very good. He is having exactly the year you and I were like, oh, he's making threes. He's making all his shots. He just plays for a team that plays 20 guys a night.
But he is the perfect tournament play because look at his ceilings that he gives you sometimes when he gets on the floor. And then if Jaren Jackson Jr. finds himself in foul trouble, sky's the limit, right?
Immediately the first guy off the bench, you're like, oh, Santi has a double-double at half, right? Because Triple J got
I play so much Sandy Aldama. So no shocking. He, again, is a play
What if he's starting, right? If he's starting, Bane gets rolled out, he's starting.
I don't want him to start.
He is
I want him to come off the bench.
True.
But yeah, I mean, people definitely gravitate towards him. He's such a crazy good per minute player.
Per minute guy, yeah.
That I think all the algorithms will just like explode if they can project Aldama for like 28 minutes or something like that tonight, right? So let's see. What else do we got going on here? What else do we like? I do see that my picture froze. I don't know what happened with my camera.
Yeah. Yeah. You haven't
at least I'm smiling. There are definitely worse things that could happen.
You heard Santi Aldama's name and you perked right up.
Is the screen moving still though? It's moving for me.
Yeah, okay. The screen's moving. We're moving and grooving. There's no lag. There's nothing, but you are definitely frozen in that position right there. Just a smile. So someone get a picture.
Honestly, that might be my new profile photo.
This will be John's new profile photo.
Make that my new Twitter image.
Yeah, I would say it's very interesting. The Nas ownership, obviously, we talked about. You have like a couple guys in a row. Noah Clowney's played a bunch of minutes lately. You had brought him up on the show. Larry Nance is obviously
Larry Nance love. Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Larry Nance. We even broke down that Denver game, I think it was, or the San Antonio game when there was no.
It was the Denver. Yeah, it was the Denver.
And we were like, listen, when Okongwu does not play, we have 2-game sample size of Larry Nance playing 23, 24 minutes. We jammed him in. No one played Larry Nance, and he exploded. No one played Larry Nance again the other day, and he went off at him at like 7%. So, like, more people should be on Larry Nance, I think, tonight. You would think there'd be correlation almost, right? Like, you're seeing all that Nas Reed ownership. Wouldn't you expect to see Larry Nance there?
Dude, there's I mean, he's 1% rostered. I guess I don't know what the expectation is, right? There's no Okongwu. There's no one they just signed off the street that's going to suddenly swoop up and take minutes away. They're playing him and not Gaye. They're not playing Capella more than 24 minutes while they try to shop Clint Capella. And there's been 6 instances, Sean, okay? 6, where Larry Nance has played into the 20s. 32, 48, 30, 31, 24, 31. Do you know what those numbers are as you're now...
I fixed it.
Your smiley pictures.
Those are his minutes.
No, those were fantasy scores in all 6 games that he's played at least 20 minutes in. So you look at 4,500, he has gone 5x or better all 6 times that he has been extended. What is the reason we're not going to get Larry Nance to play mid-20s?
He went 10x in 2 of the last 3. So, like...
I just don't understand, like, the okay, yeah, he's not free. But, yeah, he's multi-position eligible and has literally done this every single time he's been extended. One of them is against Denver. One of them is against Boston. One of them is against San Antonio. Do you know who exists on those teams? Like 3 of the 10 best players in the world.
And then a really good defensive team in Memphis.
And Memphis, I mean, dude, we're talking about like, yeah, Minnesota's bad. Larry Nance in just peripheral stats last game got you to value. Just peripheral stats.
Yep. So any love for Larry Nance? Yeah, a lot of love here. If the industry is out on it or everybody else is out, like, again, we'll take the leverage. I'll play Larry Nance over Nas Reed and save myself 40% rostership, right?
Agreed. Totally perfect pivot in like why I was like saying I'd be underweight. The difference between the two are I think like expectation versus reality, right? Like expectation is, well, Nas Reed's his former 6th man of the year, where Larry Nance has been out of the rotation. He's not out of the rotation.
The Wired played Tired
versus Wired,
right? Like Tired plays Nas Reed, Wired plays Larry Nance or something like that. So,
I mean, dude, if like you said, if Larry Nance is going to be 2%, like you're just, I would gladly ride and die with that ship. And Yeka Okongwu is not
11-game slate where like you absolutely need some sort of tournament leverage to kind of like win a GPP in 11 games, for sure. Patrick Williams, again, is another guy that I've been higher on. Really good point per minute right now. 19 and 23 minutes against Boston, then followed it up with 32 in 22 minutes against Boston, 5 of 11, 5 of 13. This is the dude he was earlier before he got hurt. 30, 36, 38, playing the fantasy point per minute game. Cleveland twice, the Knicks, like those aren't easy matchups. 38, 33, 36. Nope. So I like Patrick Williams. Now, what are they going to do for minutes? That's the big question, obviously, right? He hasn't been extended too much since he's come back. It's been 4 games. They built him up to 23. Sort of the same situation with Middleton. Maybe they get him up to like 26 to 28 tonight. Is that going to be enough at 42? I don't know, right? Like, especially when, again, there's Nance a little bit higher, but no one's playing Patrick Williams either. But I think this could be a good spot for him.
That's because everyone's now playing Keyshawn George. I just watched the ownership
with the Koulibaly news. Is he up?
Yeah. People are still playing Nas. That's just
Tyler
not going to go away.
Up there now, huh? Third highest, and Bam.
Yeah, Tyler Hero.
I don't really love the Bam ownership. I'll let you keep that.
Well, you're anti Bam.
Yeah, he just doesn't do it consistently enough for me at this point. So
no, I mean you're not wrong. He has not been good like this year offensively, scoring specific. He has not. He is a very good player that does a lot, but the scoring has definitely
pick one,
been
Levine or Hero.
Okay. Hero. But obviously, there's obvious leverage with the former.
Center. We got the Wemby versus Towns matchup.
Center.
We had a comment somewhere on Embiid, I think earlier. What did I say? So we have Wemby versus Embiid.
You said Towns.
Embiid. Power is Embiid going to drop another 70 on Wemby's gluteus.
On the gluteus assius. He did it. I told you. I said it on the show, right? He scored 70 against him last year. It's going to be badass if Embiid does it in a mask, where he drops 70 in a mask, in that cool mask he wears. If anything, Jimmy being out opened up the floodgates for like all the other centers, because now Bam's the highest rostered center outside of Portis, and now like all these other centers are not getting ownership, right? I mean, no one's really playing Towns, no one's playing Embiid, nobody's playing Victor Wembanyama today. Nobody's playing Victor Wembanyama. So if you want to play any of those guys, guess what? You have a chance for 70 out of all 3 of them, and no one's rostering any.
Wemby had 33 actual in his own right on that game. It's just that Embiid went for 70 and 18 against them.
Yeah, he went for it's literally not. This is not.
No, we're talking fantasy
score. He scored 70 real points
with
in a
18
basketball
rebounds
game
against Wemby in that matchup. But Wemby had 33 points in his own right there, and Wemby's coming off of
when Wemby couldn't score.
Wemby's coming off of a 10 block double. So if you find yourself spending up, any 3 of these guys are great. Cam the Man said that Towns owes us money. He does. Killed us on this one. I had the over 18 rebounds and assists. He had 14 in 27 minutes because he had 3 fouls in 9 minutes. Played just 9 first half minutes. He was going to soar over the 18 rebounds and assists mark. Soar over it. And he ends up getting in foul trouble and finishes with 14 in 27 minutes. The dude should have played 10 more minutes at least. And we would have got easily at least 18 rebounds and assists there. So I agree. He owes us money. Toronto, no Jakob Poeltl again. So you got to think Kelly O going to be playing most of the minutes at center like he did last night. It's a really great spot for Towns to just do Towns things.
Now, to be fair, I don't necessarily disagree now that we know Kelly O can be extended. There was also the Mobo foul trouble early in that game. So I still think Mobo probably is closer to a split than he was last night. But if they need offense, like if RJ plays, they don't necessarily need the same Kelly O minutes because RJ's offense is as good as Kelly O's. Yeah, Mobo.
Play Mobo at the 5 against Towns.
I mean, they don't have there's no right answer.
They're not even playing Bruno Fernandez. So RJ Barrett's still a game time decision on cue. Same
on
game.
Cue. It's
Patrick Williams or Brooks for Josh here.
I'd feel way better
The
about
minutes are
Brooks
definitely in favor of Brooks. So I would lean there. If someone would come out today and they would be like, hey, Patrick Williams, 28-32, I'd be like, all right, like
right. Or no restriction,
yeah.
just like
And then rank Tatum and
because
Embiid, Towns, Ball.
Jesus.
Tatum's probably last or third because of that game environment. I just don't like it against Orlando tonight. I mean, I'll go Embiid. I'll go Embiid 1.
I would say the centers are probably 1 and 2 for me.
Dude, JoJo's gonna play 35 minutes, whatever like that. Like,
dude, we spent a lot of time on Embiid last night about the price.
Dude, the price is too cheap. He's $1,000. He should be $1,000 more. We did this with Towns for 2 months, where Towns is like 9.5. We're like, for what? For what reason is he this cheap when he's going off for 60 every night? Towns is in that boat right now. Towns is gonna be going, and Embiid's gonna be playing 35 minutes tonight.
I would say this. If you had a crystal ball and you saw that the New York Knicks and Toronto game was going to be competitive, wouldn't you just put Towns 1?
I mean,
right? Because then he's getting 4. Because
it was competitive here, and he had 60 fantasy points. He went 24, 15, and 6.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
they need RJ though for this game to have any chance. I think of being competitive. And I get last night. I know, but that's unlikely to repeat it itself.
I know.
They got Jacoby Walter out there knocking down like 8 threes. That's not gonna happen.
Dude, they did it with Scotty going 2 for 15 from the floor. I'll say the centers are 1 and 2. I don't have like a specific. It's hard to pick an order between those.
Agreed.
But the centers
after you get down from that group there, again, I really like Embiid. I think Vuk is fine at 83 in this matchup against Milwaukee. No Giannis there. No, Dean Wade ruled out, but Sam Merrill is available to play tonight. Doesn't really impact much, I don't think, for the...
It impacts who starts. I guess Strus is back, right, into your starting lineup?
Yeah. Because Wade was small forward, starting at small forward.
Yeah, they've been starting Wade. Yeah, since Okoro went down, they've been starting Wade.
Well, yeah. I mean, Coach Chris, we got to know if he's in or not. I mean,
he's in. He's
okay. In. Well, then, yeah, I have no problem playing Maxey ever. That's fine. Guys goes out there and just scores, so that's fine. Again, I like Vuk. I'm not going to play Bam. The ownership's there, but not for. I just don't care for him right now. I like Ayton. We talked about him on the preview show, and then you wrote him up today. But what was your write-up? Was it a good Ayton or a bad Ayton play?
Over 9.5 rebounds.
Okay.
More than 9.5 rebounds.
More than 9.5, yeah. Dude, if this is going to be a competitive game, the last 2 competitive games played 35 minutes. And Rob Williams questionable tonight, too. So you were talking about that before.
Yep.
So, I mean, Ayton was a beast last season when he was getting that kind of run.
Dominating.
Right. We talked about that. Granted, the team was a bit more to him than it was. They were less healthy.
So was the nickname self-given?
Yeah. Also had no mattress for the entire season.
Had no mattress. Got stuck in his driveway. It's been a wild experience for dominating out there.
Yeah. So, anyways, wish he would take more free throws for a big man. Doesn't get to the line at all.
Yeah.
But still, double in play here against Dallas. I like Ayton at 65. We can talk Jabari already. Brook Lopez, a good tournament play. Like we've seen him at, it's been a bit, but like this stretch of like 4 games, 5 games and 3 blocks. He's had 5 and 6 block games this year. We've seen some big ceiling games out of Brook Lopez before.
He has a very high ceiling. He also has a very, very low floor, but very, very, very wide range of outcomes for Brook Lopez.
Does. I agree. Yeah, and 5,500 there. Todd Kelly-O, he played 25 minutes. Give us a Kelly-O game. 8-8-4.
He did.
1-2.
He did give it is very Kelly-O. That is, and usually you get more scoring. And 5,005 turnovers.
It's the exact Kelly-O game. So 5,300 is a good tournament play for him there. You like Edie tonight, 48?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. The ownership was like really high on him, and it's completely fallen off, and I understand it. A lot of it's just gone to Bobby Portis because the multi-positional eligibility and stuff, and now obviously Bam and Naz Reid and like you look at 3 of the top 4 roster centers are power forward center eligible, but we've seen the minutes 24, 24, 27. There's no Jay Huff, so we don't have to worry about minutes being stolen there. He's going up against traditional center in Zubats. If Zubats suits up, this is a great spot for ED. I double waiting to happen type spot. So, yeah, I have no issues getting to Zach ED whatsoever, especially now that the ownership has completely gone away.
Yep. Do you like Cam J tonight? I don't mind Cam J. He's going to take a lot of shots, but as we talked about on the show this morning, the teams also know that he's the only one that can shoot. So they do not hesitate to just double up on him there. So if you want to take that. And then Josh wants to know last man in, Sheed, Trent, or Rollins. I mean, Rollins would be.
Oh, you have to play Rollins in cash.
You got to play Rollins tonight.
And that's a cash. That's
for
a cash
cash
question.
games.
Yeah, have to.
Rollins will be 98%, I think, probably.
100. I'll go 100. I'll say 100% in cash games.
Okay. He'll be the Scotty Barnes ownership tonight in cash games.
30 on the FanDuel. Yeah.
3,500. Yeah. 97.8%. Like the other 1.2 just put a replacement lineup in and never checked, or just like
literally just didn't
didn't see that he was there. All right, then Larry Nance is down here at 45. We talked that up already. Was there any other values that you would play tonight?
I don't think so. I see Filipowski getting some ownership.
Yeah,
he's $3,000. We did not talk Şengün, but
I don't know. He's fine. It's Charlotte. He can get there. There's just other plays for me tonight. Again, it's not a bad spot. Merrill is starting, by the way. Would you have any interest in Merrill starting?
We've done this before.
We have. 3,500 against Utah.
We've done it before without Strus.
I mean, he hasn't been. He's had moments, but he hasn't been like great this season.
No, he's shooting 32% from 3. This is
a guy that's supposed to be a 3-point shooter. So, but he's a guy that, with everybody back, like if this game does also get out of hand, he probably stays on the floor too. No,
I'd have a I'd have a hard time going there over like Keyshawn, who has multiple positional eligibility.
He's also on the floor with like a bunch of high usage rate players.
Right. I mean,
he's basically not taking shots until they're done on midway through the third quarter here. Dylan Brooks ruled out. What did I say? Late scratch for Utah's coming. Give me the Cam Whitmore.
Wait, we literally crystal balled that. You said Houston, and then I followed up with Dylan Brooks. I
literally just said wait for a late scratch on Houston. Back to back.
That was Wade to LeBron in Miami dunk.
Dude, just absolutely just willed Cam Whitmore into our rotation tonight.
I already have Houston stuff up. Hold on. Let's look at some. I already have their.
I mean, Cam Whitmore's not going to be on the board, right? Because he hasn't played one game with them.
Yeah, we've talked Keyshawn George a bunch, Josh.
Keyshawn George is good for a punt play if you want to. Dude, Amon Thompson for sure is going to start now.
You want to hear some? I already have the stuff up. I had Houston still up. So, what do you want to know first? Do you want to know Cam Whitmore stuff first?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, again, he's played 1 minute. He's played 12 minutes with them. So
30-minute sample this year.
Yeah,
1 point, almost 3 fantasy points a minute.
Dude.
32% usage rate.
He's so good.
Amon Thompson 1.14, Şengün 1.4 fantasy points per minute, Van Vliet over a fantasy point per minute, Jabari at a fantasy point per minute, Jalen Green.
Yeah.
Really bad without Tari Eason and Dylan Brooks this year, which I find incredibly interesting. 0.68 fantasy points per minute. It's a really small sample, 50 minutes. I would have a hard time believing Jalen Green wouldn't lead them in shot attempts tonight. But if Dylan Brooks is on the floor, usually he's playing with Amon Thompson, and we know Amon Thompson's a psycho. So Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
No Brooks, no Eason. Rank Houston is wildly good against Charlotte. Like really good. Rank your favorite Houston plays.
From like my heart or my brain? Because my heart is
brain. I want your brain. I want your brain. We need the brain.
I mean, it has to be Eamon Thompson, right? Like
5,800 shooting guard, small
5,800
forward.
shooting guard, small forward. Right? No Tari and no Dylan Brooks now. Like it feels like it has to be Eamon Thompson.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna play Cam Whitmore in the lineup tonight at 3K.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get him at a lot less ownership than Keyshawn George for $300 less. He's min salary, and he's
Scotty B was only 75% owned. 25% didn't even know that he was playing that night.
Yeah, they just had to not know, right? It just had to be.
Just had to not know. 14 minutes. He played 21 minutes here against San Antonio, who didn't play on 10-26. Why did Cam Whitmore get 21 minutes in that game?
Do we want it 10-26? We're looking up for
third game of the year.
Third game of the year. Okay. 10-26. All right, 10-26. Here it is. It was a second leg of a back-to-back.
Okay, so check. Second leg of a back-to-back tonight.
All 5 starters played.
Okay.
They Şengün looks like he was just benched. They benched Şengün in this game. Şengün played 22 minutes. And Cam Whitmore played the final 14 minutes of the game. He did not come off the floor. Excuse me. He did not play the final 11 seconds. Şengün played the final 11 seconds of the game over Cam Whitmore. So Cam Whitmore played the final 14 minutes and then came out for an offensive possession, defensive possession.
Giddey out, Lonzo out.
Fire up your THT shares tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
You think THT? He was the guy getting minutes when
Levine. Levine. So. I know, but now there's no Lonzo too. Yeah. No, I'm not playing THT in 11-game slate. No. But it is interesting that Lonzo is out as well, right? Like the Giddey and Lonzo. Ultimately, what I think they probably do is they just go back to they're just going to run that same starting lineup, and you probably just stagger Io and Kobe White all night, and you just have one of those guys on the floor at all times.
I mean, great matchup for Chicago going up against Milwaukee, and now that rotation gets a bit shorter, so all those guys are in play. Michael wanted to know Io or White. If Giddey's out, so Io or White. Williams being back, I do think matters. By the way, I think that those minutes are there for him.
I mean, I think so. Your starting lineup tonight is White, Io, Levine, Williams, Vooch. My Io's been better lately. I still think Kobe White has the higher ceiling. I know Dosunmu had that triple-double, but like more often than not, we're getting a higher ceiling from Kobe White. So I'd say Kobe White over Io Dosunmu.
Okay. All right, we got to build a lineup and we got to get out. I got to go update the playbook for everybody here. We'll have ownership updated as well. I guess we're just plugging in Eamon Thompson now. It's shooting guard, small forward play.
Yeah, I mean, Houston is just incredibly interesting in general.
Rollins. And I know we had our guy Rolly asking, it was Polo Cash asked for a cash game.
Yeah.
Lineup. Some of this lineup is cash game.
Hey, our boy Hidden Darts. That's our boy. Our Hidden Darts.
Looking for some cash games. Yeah. All right, so we got Rollins, Powell, Thompson, Nance.
Towns or Embiid. I mean, you and I gushed. We got to get Hero. Probably, would you play Powell over Hero? Or we can play them both, technically.
Well, we need to play, probably need to play Trent or Middleton. Right?
Yeah.
We can get another spend up here. I mean, with no Giddy, do you go to Levine in the spot against Milwaukee?
You can. It's a good spot.
And then 7,800 for a util. There's so much value on this slate, man, now. And I hate this tier. This tier is disgusting.
But you can.
We like triple stamped to double stamp, and we'll go 91 for a util. Jalen Johnson, Şengün, Ja.
I mean, I like Houston. Houston's hard not to like, man.
I didn't even get my Whitmore playing, but that's fine. We'll go to Şengün here. All right, Rollins, Hero, Thompson, Nance, Embiid, Trent, Middleton, and Şengün. Jabari is great, Craig. I like Jabari. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Everybody, as you said,
yeah.
Pretty much Jalen Green's the only one that gets a downgrade here, apparently, with no Brooks and Easton on the floor. So
yeah, I'm almost. It's too small of a sample to even like really judge it all too much.
Agreed. So we'll have to get ownership updated on site when that comes through for us here with that Dylan Brooks news. So be on the lookout for that. We'll throw it in the Discord when it is ready. If you're not yet in our Discord, you don't have access to our playbook. We got the holiday sale going on right now, 50% off for 2025. FANasyStorm.com/holiday. You can scan that QR code. It's $19.98 a month for all of 2025. You can cancel it any time, but if you want to come back, it goes back to full price, $39.97 a month. So stick with us for the year. $19.98 a month. Access to all sports, not just NBA, all sports. Rest of the NFL season through the Super Bowl. MLB coming around the corner. That will include your MLB draft guide and cheat sheet. PGA DFS, MMA DFS. The new seasons are starting up. NASCAR, Daytona's in February. If you like NASCAR DFS, we cover it all here at Fantasy Alarm. You get that all for $19.98 a month. James, what do you got?
We're not playing Bobby Portis in this lineup.
Good call. We missed out on Bobby Poe. All right, so Portis, that would have been a massive mistake. Go Portis.
Have to play Bobby Portis.
Absolutely have to play Bobby Portis. I like Ja. We'll go to Ja. There you go. Swapped it out. We'll figure out a way to get Şengün as well. Guys, example lineup for all of you. Playbook will be updated. Ownership will be updated. Join the family. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll have a preview show for the Christmas Day slate. Desmond Bane expected now to play. Fantastic news. Ruins everything for us. We'll have a preview show for the Christmas Day slate. We obviously won't be live for Christmas. Our next live show will be on Thursday, but Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate. And we will catch you all later. Good luck then.